Sun Ra. Sun Ra.
This book was published in 2010 by Head Press, edited by John Sinclair, and this is one of my first published essays that I'd like to read for you. The myth, art, and music of Sun Ra. The myth is neither good nor bad. Its potentials are unlimited. Sun Ra hammered out a magical oath early in his life. He lived, composed, and performed myth-magic music, infinitely transforming performance arts into a cosmology of performance magic, once more reclaiming outer space and inner space for all humanity. Using his practical myth-science space program, Sun Ra pioneered the changing of reality in conformity with will. Sunny led comprehensive rituals, songs, to seduce and propel humanity out from the repetitious death trip of history looming over us all, and to help each individual attain an escape velocity, launching oneself into the cosmos via music, or teleporting the cosmos into oneself via the profundity of apprehension. Sun Ra's myth, magic and music are all parts of one ideogram, a new synthesis, not merely separate subjects, but a language entity that emerged from menacing gaseous star clusters around Saturn to subvert the solar system and retune the cosmos with celestial feedback. Balancing the equation, Qing Ming, to regulate the names and or to define the correct term. Evidence of his successful mytho-magical methods and workings can be found scattered in various multimedia artifacts, ESP phonograph discs, liner notes, spells, album artworks, maps, prose essays, and cinematic light shows, the languages to discover and reactivate the sacra lingua. The ever-changing name game waltzes with the ever-changing nature of Sun Ra's music, the ever-changing Tao. The disciplined band always displays a bright, attenuated sense of time, division, and or duration, combined with simplicity of that mystery, all at once rounded counterpoint of sound shadows, arcing at the moonlight. These are mathematically precise, astrological, processional, harmonic equations, translated musically into neurological modulated word-sound-image communications, distilling the Hermetic principle of so as above, so below, all across the vibration spectrum, so enabling magicians to assimilate objects, in some sense, by feeling out their frequency. Differential space equations and cosmic calculus seduced into and beyond music, where a cluster of galaxies are pulled down and formulated into practical edutainment language. Dymaxion, dynamic maximum tension in music, to borrow a term from the great design scientist Buckminster Fuller. I would say that it's black from the point of view that it's got all the darkness of myth, and it really pinpoints ancient Egypt in a definite way. Sun Ra. A master of vibration states and music psychology, Sun Ra produced harm reduction music for the soul, music celestial, shamanic healing frequencies, splicing disciplines into mu-logical wholes using the living multimedia star cluster of the laboratory, the studio. Pushing language beyond definition, then pushing down a strange celestial roadway. Plushing music towards a sacred key splice, a key splice. Unlocking galactic gate paths into tiny pyramids. People have two harps in their head, Their ears, just like a harp, they hear by the strings in their ears. If I play something very strange, then some strings that never vibrated before will vibrate. The whole nervous system will become alive. Sun Ra. Sheets of sound falling like snowflakes from all quarters, a rainbow phalanx of languages unleashed, crashes of symbol upon symbol in wave of rhythm running, throwing sound and image onto the mind like Pollock's paint particles at the canvas, liturgical, clinical, comical, all at once, like some writing of James Joyce, for humanity to unwrap using their own neurological apparatus. The energy runs straight and direct to the unknown sense of mystery, the hidden and secret crevices, somewhere else, out beyond language, but still made of language, or made of languages. A space where truth and beauty wrestle within the angular valleys of discord, in the musical night maze where Sun Ra dwells at the edge of the avant-garden, in the swirling mass of gases and forces that compose planet Saturn. All art is a shadow of the incarnation, said Marshall McLuhan. Travelling omnidirectionally from the inner horn space into outer space, mediated by time, maybe travelling to Titan below your right ear, across to Jupiter at your crown, or any other planet you can think of within the infinite time-space contained within each and every one of us. Sonny and his orchestra demonstrated to us how to coordinate space-time and guide the skyrockets that lie barely inches behind our eye sockets. Solfege, flashbacks, providing perceptions of simultaneities. Space-time shuttles on a journey beyond the stars. Listen, listen again. When I say space music, I'm dealing with the void, because that is of space too. So I leave the word space open, like space is supposed to be. Sun Ra. James Joyce once said that the individual was eccentric and the state concentric. In this context, Sun Ra tunes into heliocentric worlds and arranges for eccentric improvisation, based upon the concentric foundations, a kind of cosmonaut-astronaut rendezvous, synthesizer synthesis of mythology with practical magic deployed through a multimedia internetwork of things, feeding back diverse language fragments and gaseous traces into a artful congress. Constellations of sound swirl beyond language, spiraling and curved, Le Sun Ra experience, a sort of inspired mathematics which gives useful equations, not for abstract figures, triangles, spheres, but equation humane, for approximating human emotions too. Names of mystery, starry dimensions. The tantalizing album, song and band names derived by Sun Ra speak using the condensational methods and juxtaposition detectable in his music. These mini-manifestos show the alphabetical tip of an audio-visual iceberg floating somewhere nearby in space. The titles often reaching beyond language into numerology, into Kabbalah, and into mathematical equations. Sonny's poetry turns the reader's head inside out, just like the twisting music, a new meeting of familiar objects but with a strange sense of something else in the misty distance, a rainbow, counterpointed shadows and shades of counterpointed shadows, shades of meaning moving rhythmically all about it, and all returning to splendour. Dressed in dime store regalia, crossed like Philip K. Dick with The Shape of Things to Come by H.G. Wells, this is a parody upon the entertainment industry, the hustle in the twilight of the electric tribal futurismo. Most of the time, the avant-garde looks so serious. They don't look like they're really having fun. I want people to laugh at the costumes I have on. Sun Ra. A total assault on the senses, a live audio abduction scenario, and light-assisted kidnapping of consciousness into the mythic realms and the crevices of a new e-space. Ears are abducted by the shadow, the echoes of the deep forest, the calls, the seductive polyrhythms, and all those things that lurk upon the African plains. Extended percussion passages take your mind on a marathon. Interpretive dancing matter, singing matter, shouting matter, all reproduces the traits of the tale of the tribe, of legend in some literature. Information equals what we cannot predict. Variations on deviations from interpretations of no fixed melody, comedy. Cosmic music is a place of tomorrow. It is the dimension and the balanced perspective of tomorrow. It speaks to the worlds of the greater potentials, awaiting the peoples of the worlds, at every future point, on every future plane. Sun Ra. Sun Ra identifies experiences by setting out the parameters of his art, so as to be able to take meaningful measurements and produce meaningful results that he can share. The question, language versus the equation, spirals throughout the music like the double helix of DNA. What planet is this? What planet is this? Rethink. Surprising chants and tung-fu riddles, pitch questions and scenarios amidst the electric sound tapestry all around. A criss-cross word puzzle game, forcing the listener to put the words and symbols into the musical cosmos space. This is made freely perceptible. What is life? What is death? Sonny asks, while conducting time-space using his hand and his body gestures. And yet I see beyond that point, for there is counterpoint and counterpoint, and counterpoint dimensions dimension. It is music like the music. The music swells to indescribable sound of mystic everness, eternal beingness, chromatic rhythms. Sun Ra. Ra's great corpus of work highlights the often overlooked question of the sacred. What is it, and how did it get that way? Magic, myth, and art? Musica sacra? Sacred music? Sun Ra balanced the equations concerning these complex questions. The cosmic in proportion, leading to the awakening of intellect and senses to conceive and perceive such questions. Now I got the solar orchestra, the myth science, and the astro infinity, and soon I'll have something else, just like a university. I've got my different courses set up, and they deal with things that are going to be beneficial to people. Sun Ra. Rhythmic illusionists, Copernican swing wizards, improvisational bards, sound shaman guides pulsing along African Egyptian furnished passageways to Mu, Atlantis, or to Saturn's moon, Titan. These are adventures to the underworlds inside of all men and all women. Each individual on stage animates the dance of the shadows, makes them bop with one another, transforming their apprehension of the cosmos. The orchestra acted as an invisible black college of occult jazz study, teaching and spreading knowledge, discipline, humour and precision through art. Illusion is a revolutionary weapon. wrote William Burroughs in The Electric Revolution, 1970. Sun Ra conducts Thunder and Lightning on piano, adding some Hammond, some Solovox stylings, and other craftsmanships over the time. The riffs rain down like shooting stars, and the sun harp itself shines. Elo Omo blows a menacing bass clarinet, clearing the fog with that great horn. 6 hands and 36 fingers on congas flowing like the Nile. Tommy Hunter finds percussion instruments to further coordinate these river flows. Ahmed Abdullah blows trumpet romancing those guardian angels into the stream. Billy Higgins and Earl Buster Smith trade drum mythstrology, all under the stars. Philly Joe Jones and Cliff Jarvis float by with Marshall Allen aboard a sunship, orchestrating forces through courses of Van Allen belts with the flute and piccolo and alto saxophone calling. Noel Scott modulates spheres with an alto sax. John Gilmore cracking open the clouds with another tenor sax, searing high, high, so high the birds get dizzy, and then the great bass boom. John Orr from the Thelonious Monk Spaceway swings the bass around the modal axis this way and that way. They dwell on other planets. Roger Blank and Robert Cummings drum and play the system of solitaire in the solar system. Yes, Danny Ray Thompson, Michael Ray, James Jason, and all those I left out are on board this starship. Early hard bop structures are melted like Dali clocks, and neo-modal tidal pieces with no fixed harmonic structure are free to change with the seasons, with the eccentricities, with the superimposition of one chord over another chord. Ply over ply.
A different kind of world of abstract dreams, and I'll wait for you. Sunrise, 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 sunrise. Another order of being. Sunrise says, music is a language, and I'm saying things that can reach people. I'm not a prophet, I'm a destiny changer.